This is Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by Lexus.
On a Tuesday, we always put in a little overtime. Welcome to Fox 8 Overtime. Chris Hagan, Sean Vazan, Garland Gillen, I'm Juan Kincaid. A lot to talk about tonight. 'Tis the season for college and pro games that finally mean something. Reached that point of the year. It's good.
Always a fun time.
Yeah. Win or go home for some teams.
I like it.
Man, Saints are #1 seed. LSU playing for SEC championship game. There's a lot going on right now, man. Let's get rolling.
Yep, a lot going on. We're going to get to the Saints in a minute because Saints have set their sights. That's our headline right now. Saints set their sights. LSU's final showcase college football's undefeated top trio. A lot to get to tonight. We're going to begin, though, NFC South champion Saints, who have quickly turned the page to more important things, trying to stay home for all the playoffs. Right now, the Saints are the top seed, thanks to the Seahawks beating the Vikings last night. Saints have a challenging final quarter of the season to go. Half their games on the road, half their games at home. Beginning with the Niners and the Dome this Sunday. What stands out to you guys the most about this game?
The enormity of the game. Look, you win this game, you're in the driver's seat, but you got to keep on winning. But you lose this game, you kind of fall behind in the standings there. So the enormity of the game, I think this is the biggest game they will play to date. I think it's the toughest defense they will play to date. I think this it's going to have a playoff atmosphere. And I'm just looking forward to Sunday. It's just going to be a fun one. Yeah. So the enormity of the game is what jumps out right now.
Yeah, and it's one that the Saints have played in a couple times now. When you look last year at the Rams game, when that came around, was week 8 or 9,
yeah.
You had the sense that this was a battle for who was going to be that #1 seed, and it was going to be a rematch, of course, of who would go to the Super Bowl, and they would have to meet and go through each other in the playoffs, which ended up happening. This has a similar feel, although all of a sudden Seattle looks like they could be that team that, is that 2 seed as well. But fortunately for the Saints, they have that. But it also feels like the Steelers game last year, where that was one for the #1 seed. Literally, Saints win that game, they locked it up, and they did. So I think this team should be used to playing in this atmosphere, and it should be a good one.
Juan, I'm so hyped up for this game. I'm covering the SEC championship in Atlanta. I'm driving back like at 5 a.m. on Sunday,
Don't
man.
blame me. Get back in the dome for that one.
I want to be at my desk watching this game at noon. Everybody, I got full focus. I'm all Brown. Photographers come with me. He better get ready to roll on Sunday morning, 5 a.m. He better not be partying on Saturday night in Atlanta because we roll early on Sunday.
2 guys driving. That'll work. Split the driving. Party or no party. It seems to me this game, the winner will win the trenches. It starts right there.
100%. This is it. It's best defensive line they'll face, a very good offensive line they'll face for the Saints. You got to win both sides of the ball. If you lose that battle, you're done. And to me, it's more than just winning the trenches. And I said this on our podcast. Last 2 games, the Saints have run the ball, despite having a lead all game, 18 times and 18 times. If you run the ball for less than 20 times this game, I think they're going to lose. I think they've got to be able to run the ball to establish the line of scrimmage.
I think especially when we're talking about San Francisco's offense, they want to run the ball. If they could run the ball, 60 times out of 70 snaps, they probably would, and they would beat you down if that were the case. So you've got to take that away. And look, Jimmy Garoppolo has been a lot better the last couple of weeks. So I hesitate to call him any kind of weakness, but he is, I guess, the less effective part when you look at the stable of backs that they have and what they can do versus the chances the Saints would probably prefer to have Jimmy Garoppolo in passing situations. I think you take that. So I say all that to say you take away the run, the 49ers one-dimensional aren't as dangerous as a 49ers team playing with a lead or playing in a close game safely able to run the ball.
Intriguing thing Jeff Duncan said on Final Play of this past Sunday night, that he thinks Teron Armstead's going to be back this week. I think that would definitely help in the trenches if you can have Armstead back this week. It'll be really intriguing to see this first injury report that comes out on Wednesday, see where he is, because he traveled to Atlanta, which is more of a positive thing because he's not even traveling with the team there. That probably says the injury's a little worse. So that's one thing you definitely want to watch out for there. But, man, Bosa, Davenport, Jordan, man, quarterbacks beware. This is going to be fun to watch all these guys flying in, trying to make big sacks on Garoppolo and Breeze.
But one thing we did see in that Baltimore game against Lamar Jackson is that the read option will work if you give it time and you're patient with it and you try to do it, which brings the question up, Chris, just take some time.
I think it's always take some time in a sense. I don't think you overdo it. I mean, Baltimore's offense is the read option, and so it's going to come in volume, and eventually something's going to pop, like it always does with them. With the Saints, it's more about picking the right spot to use Taysom and picking the right spot and how to use Taysom, whether it's a totally designed quarterback run like that, or whether it's an option, or whether you're trying to catch the defense off guard and execute a pass play that Taysom has down pat. So I think it's more about the right timing with him more than it is ramping up his touches, because you don't want to take the ball out of Drew Brees' hands more than you have to.
Yeah.
On the read option, I can't. Yeah, that was the first thing I saw when I watched the Ravens-Niners game, how much success Lamar was having with the run game there. More Taysom. I definitely believe that that's the right move there, because Bosa and them were hitting the quarterback, and it was getting to Ingram, and the opposite way they're going to Ingram with Lamar Jackson. And that was on a wet turf, man. In the speed of the dome, I expect Taysom to have another big game.
Sean, when you look at the division, the NFC right now, it may be more imperative to have home field advantage this year than the last 10 years for the Saints, because look at the cold weather places you could go. Green Bay, Seattle, San Francisco, Minnesota. They want to be at home. They got to win this game.
There's never a bad time for a home playoff game. That is for sure. And every one of those teams are very good football teams that you mentioned. Green Bay, Minnesota, San Francisco, Seattle, who they beat earlier in the season, who's better than I thought they were. They've really come together. So, yes, they've only lost one game at home in the playoffs under Peyton, and we know what game that was. They've only won one game away from the Dome in the playoffs under Peyton back in Philadelphia back in 2013. So, yes, it's never a bad time to get home field advantage. Back to the Taysom thing real quick. Saints aren't going to revamp their offense. They're not going to just change their offense.
Not going to take it out of Drew Brees' hands.
Taysom will get some snaps, but I absolutely think they're going to put him in a lot of different places. Not just quarterback, not just running back, not just H-back. He's going to be the full Swiss Army knife in this game.
Your thoughts, Chris, on staying at home for the holidays? For the playoffs?
You would obviously love to be at home. And Seattle, I could think of, I guess only Green Bay would be worse than Seattle, because the Saints went up there and beat Seattle. Yeah. Do you think Seattle wouldn't love the chance to get payback in the playoffs in the biggest game of their season? That'd be a nightmare.
They're playing so much better now, right now, too, as well. All right, coming up, we'll bring LSU into the conversation as they get ready for their SEC title showdown with the Georgia Bulldogs. We'll discuss what to look for Saturday night in Atlanta next. And coming up, it's title time for LSU as they look to secure the SEC championship and set up a national title. We'll discuss the matchup against Georgia and what needs to carry over from the trouncing of Texas A&M. That's coming up. And Saints fans want to see their team spirit on television, you can head to the Final Play app, submit a picture, just click the menu, scroll down to the Submit Your Saints Picks page, and from there, follow directions, tune in throughout the season. See your Who Dat passion on display.
Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers. You're watching Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by Lexus.
Welcome back into Overtime. Time to talk about those LSU Tigers who remained put at number 2 in tonight's college football playoff poll. They're right behind Ohio State, right in front of Clemson and Utah, who moved up after Alabama lost. The Tigers of Georgia, up to 4th. The Tigers' 57 whipping of Texas A&M, impressive. But in the voters' eyes, they need to beat someone relevant, right? This Saturday's SEC championship game opponent, 4th-ranked Georgia, is relevant. Tigers still second in the poll. We're not surprised by that, right? That's where we thought they would be after this game against A&M. When you compare what Ohio State played.
I mean, Ohio State played a strong Michigan opponent and beat the tar out of them. Yeah. So LSU did what they were expected to do against Texas A&M. Look, I think the committee's been operating, and we'll talk about this more a little bit later, but I think the committee's really just been operating in a sense of this stuff will work itself out. We're not going to change anything if we don't have to.
Yeah, look, I was not expecting them to jump Ohio State to get to number 1. The real controversy is going to come next week if LSU goes and takes care of business at Georgia and Ohio State does the same in their conference championship. Who's got the better resume? I think we all know. And then LSU's defense has obviously played better last week. I think they took that game a little personal. That'll be the big controversy, who ends up 1 versus 2. In my opinion, not to sound like a homer, but I think the better resume
Juan's going to call you a
team
homer.
that wears purple and gold. I know that's shocking to you, Juan.
I think the better team is in purple and gold. I would agree with you there,
Better
Sean.
resume, too.
Better resume. I would agree with that as well.
And
some people have said, who cares what's the difference between 1 and 2? There's actually a major difference between 1 and 2.
Clemson.
Because you rather play the 4. The 4 is going to if LSU wins this weekend, you much rather play Utah or Oklahoma, who definitely have a lot of problems on their teams. Clemson's starting to heat up. I know they almost lost to Juan's Tar Heels, but since then they've started to heat it up every single week. Clemson's dangerous, man. I know Dabo's went on some tirade today about no respect for the ACC. I don't buy that garbage. But you'd rather be the 1 seed. You'd rather play Utah, Oklahoma. You don't want to play Clemson first game out.
Let me go back to the Georgia game for a second. Does it come down to LSU's ability to stop Georgia's offense or Georgia's ability to stop LSU's defense? Which is the most important thing here?
I think the only way to beat LSU is to stop their offense.
Yeah.
The only team who's come close is Auburn.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only recipe. Otherwise, you got to score with them, and I just don't think Georgia's offense can do that. So somehow, this defense has to pull a rabbit out of a hat and slow down Joe Burrow, but good luck.
Yeah, they've got to figure out a way to contain LSU's offense. But the problem is, even if you do that, do they have enough firepower on their offensive end to kind of keep pace? Even if you slow down LSU, you're not going to completely shut them out. So that's why when you add it all up, despite the really good defense that Georgia has, I just don't think they have enough to constantly, stonewall what is this juggernaut of the LSU offense. And I think on the other side of the ball, I think LSU's defense matches up much better against this Georgia offense.
Carl, let me ask you, Joe Burrow's expected to win the Heisman National Championship or not. Is his legacy pretty much set? Will he forever in Baton Rouge?
He might be, man, he's going to be Billy Cannon lore, okay? He's going to, I know he's only been in Baton Rouge 2 years, but the jersey last week, I'm sure over the holidays, bootleg Burrow jerseys are going to be like the #1 seller. Everybody under the trees got bootleg Burrow jerseys with the Cajun spelling. I think that he'll go down as possibly the most important player in LSU history. I mean, he coming back 20, 25 years from now, people are still going to lose their minds when Joe Burrow comes rolling up. I don't know what he's going to do in the NFL. I know he's possibly going to be a top 5 pick. That doesn't matter. Right now, he is so important to LSU, and if they win it all, good heavens.
Regardless,
he's going to be up there with Ogeron in LSU lore.
Yeah, regardless of how long you were enrolled in a school, like seasons like this just don't happen.
No.
Like this is insane. Historically, whether you're at LSU or at any other school, these numbers are ridiculous. And so I think who cares how long he's been there? Even if he was there for 1 year and did it, his legacy is in cement because we've seen the video. People are there grabbing pieces of grass from Tiger Stadium. They're crazy over grass because of what this guy did wearing number 9.
What he also did senior night. I mean, when he did the 2 thumbs back over the B-O, the Burrow spelled with the Cajun spelling, that was awesome. I mean, that was awesome. They could lose out, and he'd still be in Tiger lore for the rest of his life. But they went out, be a whole lot better. So
I think the bigger deal, though, is he's shown what LSU football could be if you've got the right quarterback in that position. We don't know what's going to happen with this team next year with Miles Brennan.
Man, you saw Brennan toss that touchdown to Racy?
Whoever's quarterback in his team, we don't know. Joe Burrow has been lightning in a bottle. Real quickly, give me one guy besides Burrow that could have the biggest impact in this game against Georgia.
22, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that's my guy.
100%. You saw what he did in Alabama. In the Florida game with what Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Tyrion Davis-Price did.
I'm going to go different. I'll tell you, I'm going to go with Jamar Chase. I think on this fast track in Atlanta, I think he's going to have a big one too. I think you go for about 150 against the Georgia Bulldogs.
150.
150.
All right. Is it close on Saturday? Is it close?
I think it's close-ish, but I think they pull away.
Yeah.
I would say LSU. I don't know what's the spread.
7.
I say LSU
I'm going to say at least double digits for LSU.
I'd give that 7 points to them.
For sure.
I'll say 10.
All right, we'll leave it there. All right, coming up, we'll keep the college conversation going, though, as we examine the undefeated trio at the top of the rankings. Find out what Ohio State and Clemson bring to the table as the playoff comes into focus.
Watching Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by Lexus.
We are sticking with college football's national poll in this segment and talking about the other teams in there with LSU. The other 2 undefeated teams are the ones worth keeping an eye on. Top-ranked Ohio State, defending national champ Clemson. The Buckeyes have continued to impress by whipping nationally ranked teams, while the Tigers have had a cakewalk through the Atlantic Coast Conference this season. The way things sit right now, LSU would have to really earn that title by beating the Tigers first and likely the Buckeyes second. It's pretty simple right now. That's why they want to get out of that number 2 spot.
And whatever said it was going to be easy, right? So if they get to the number 1 spot and get whoever, as we mentioned earlier, was it Baylor or Oklahoma or Utah, whatever the case may be, obviously that's a better matchup than facing Clemson, the defending champs, a team that knows how to win, a team that has a quarterback that's going to be the number 1 overall pick next draft, not this coming draft, but next draft, and they're heating up at the right time. But you're going to have to beat 2 really, really, really good teams to hold up the crown at the end. So, look, just get yourself in the tournament.
Yeah, it's funny. I was at brunch Saturday and I was watching Clemson destroy South Carolina, and I'm just thinking, yeah, getting to number 1 would really be where you want to be because you don't want to have to face that Clemson team. Yeah. Well, at 31-0, LSU over Texas A&M, I guess everybody remembered that tweet, and I started getting responses. I think Clemson should be more worried about being number 3 if they got to face LSU than the other way around. And I still think that's true. I think LSU is the better team out of that group. But, yeah, I mean, it's a tough path if you got to face Clemson first. You want the chance to face a Pac-12 team or an Oklahoma that's turnover-prone, obviously, if you can.
You know the good thing in the college football playoff, I know we haven't talked about it yet because we've been focusing more on LSU, but we're watching the LSU-Bama highlights right now, and I've been thinking about it. This college football playoff is going to be so much more appealing for the viewers, nationwide viewers. You're bringing in a team from the Midwest. You got 2 teams from the South, but you're also going to have a team from either Utah, Oklahoma, or Baylor coming in there. No more Alabama and Clemson. They're not going to be in it this year together.
No Notre Dame to get just steamrolled like we knew they would last year.
This is going to be. I think it's going to be really fun. I think this is going to be a lot different this year. I can tell the fans have been worn down by Alabama being in every year. I mean, if you'd have seen Tiger Stadium when they showed Alabama doink that field goal and then Auburn take a knee, man, the place lost it. Like almost like lost it where Burrow threw a touchdown pass, Jamar Chase lost it. Place was going nuts when they showed Bullvis doinking off the uprights. So I think this is going to be really fun at the end of the month. Christmas Day is on a Wednesday. College football semifinals on a Saturday, so you got a lot going on during the holidays, so it's going to be a big one.
I think what concerns me about Clemson is that in this Tar Heel game, I sat and watched this 2-point conversion by Mac Brown. I'm saying, you know what? We weren't supposed to be close in this game, but Clemson kept them in it. Is that Clemson has not played up to the expectations that we saw last year. And you know they're capable.
Early. They've played better, much better since.
They played better since, but I'm saying last year they were dominant throughout the season pretty much. But they haven't, I guess what I'm saying is, they haven't struck fear in the hearts of teams like they did last year, this year. But they've gotten better, and you know they're capable of being as good as anybody in the country, and you figure it will come around when they get into the Final Four.
Go listen to the podcast that Ben and I recorded on Sunday morning. Man, if Clemson was the best team in the country, the scariest part is we wouldn't know it because they haven't played anybody like you said.
That's what I'm saying.
And the thing that everybody is so hung up on, as Sean just alluded to, with early, is that it was early against UNC, and that's the last time we saw them in a notable game that we all rushed to in the fourth quarter just to see it happen. But nobody's really watched a whole Clemson game since. The voters have, I guess. They're still number 3, but this is a good team, like, with the same weapons. So,
and they got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder,
not played up to the same level. Whatever, man. This is a good team that could very well be the best in the country. We just don't know.
Okay, coming up from 3 different stories on the coaching carousel spinning in football to a Pelicans team spinning their wheels. Everyone gets a final say next.
Watching Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by Lexus.
We are on the home stretch here on Overtime. That means it's time for everyone's favorite part of the show, our final say. And, of course, Sean Vazan in the house and leading us off.
Batting lead off. All right. The Carolina Panthers fired head coach Ron Rivera today. It got me thinking to just how many head coaches have come and gone in the NFC South since Sean Payton arrived here in 2006. When Payton took over, the coaches were Payton, John Fox, Jim Mora, and John Gruden. The Panthers went from Fox to Rivera to who knows now. The Falcons went from Mora to Mike Smith to Dan Quinn, and that could come to an end soon as well. Meanwhile, in Tampa, it went from Gruden to Raheem Morris to Lovie Smith to Dirk Cutter to now Bruce Arians. Add it all up, and since Peyton got to New Orleans, his division rivals have had 10 different head coaches in the time spent. The Saints have had one. There was a time where the Saints were looked at as an unstable franchise. Thankfully, those days are long gone, while their main competition seems to all be swimming in uncertainty.
6 days ago, the Pelicans hosted Anthony Davis for the first time since his departure, and we saw a team that played with passion and energy on both ends of the floor. The problem is, we now know it's not a regular occurrence. The outside motivation of facing their former team or former teammate woke them up to play a great game, but the internal motivation just isn't there, and that falls on head coach Alvin Gentry. A lot of us are hard on the Pelicans, but it's because even at this point, with a young team and Zion injured, we know there's more to this team than what we've seen for the first month and a half of the season. Despite their slogan, they continue to bow down in crunch time, and if that doesn't change soon, we may see a big change at the end of the season.
It might be conference championship week in college football, but it's also the silly season when it comes to the coaching carousel. And of course, programs are calling Baton Rouge for Joe Brady. You're no doubt going to get attention when you have a heavy hand in LSU racking up 48 points a contest. That's second best in the country, by the way. The first-year LSU passing coordinator is making $410,000 a year. So yes, he'll get a pay raise. But whatever rumor Texas or any other school is offering, I think Brady shouldn't take it. He should stay in Baton Rouge. Why be an OC somewhere else in a college where you're not a top 5 school already? He should have more lofty goals like college head coach or NFL OC, but he's not ready for that just yet. Negotiate a raise to $1.5 million and either be co-OC with Steve Ensminger or take the role over solo. Yes, he's done wonders with Burrow, but if he does the same thing with Miles Brennan, more attractive offers should be coming his way.
I like that raise talk. I was reminded yesterday that it's best to enjoy what you have while you have it, because in the blink of an eye, it could be gone. Tulane fans, enjoy Willie Fritz while you have him, because the word is out again on just how good of a head coach he is. His ability to turn around a program, to give it the appearance of a winner, has been confirmed once again. Uptown. He's been mentioned as a head coaching target for SEC schools like Missouri and Arkansas, but you figure that's just the start. Tulane just completed its second straight 6-6 season, meaning they'll head to their second straight bowl game as a 500 team, both of which don't sound so impressive, but when you consider that prior to Fritz arriving on campus, the Wave had only been to 2 bowl games since the turn of the century. The Green Wave are still a work in progress, and Fritz is the right guy to keep them moving in the right direction. But other opportunities are sure to come knocking very soon. We'll see if Fritz is ready to open that door once again. For more football talk, check out episode number 115 of the Fox 8 Overtime podcast. We get you into all 3 levels of the gridiron, pro, college, and prep. Plus, the Black and Gold Review Show has Deuce McAllister's analysis available on demand for you as well. You can find our podcast on fox8live.com, The Final Play, and Tiger Huddle apps, and wherever you listen to your podcast. Until then, for the guys beside me and all of us here at Fox 8, I'm Juan Kincaid. Thanks for watching. Our next newscast is at 4:30 in the morning. Have a great night.
This has been Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by Lexus.